Today I want to talk about the University of Chicago. A very notorious catchphrase here is where fun goes to die. Like, you arrive at this school and you just have to kind of expect that a social life is going to go out the window and that your life is going to be drowning in homework and misery. That is the general stereotype, I think. If you're considering applying to this school, you might be wondering to yourself, in reality, how hard is the University of Chicago? So hopefully this will at least give you some clarity on that. First of all, I just want to emphasize how many variables this question depends upon, which major you're in, which classes you're taking, which professors you get in those classes. So even if I have the same exact set of courses as someone else, my workload could be very different just depending on which professors I get. And even then, even if you have the same professors as someone else and the same classes, it could depend on your work ethic, how much time you have, and what organizations or RSOs you're participating in. So honestly, this question is one that you can't answer. So that's why in this video, I just want to kind of give a glimpse at my workload, and then that way you can just kind of see for yourself what it's like. I mean, even then, unless you're a transfer student, it's impossible to compare with other colleges what the workload is like here. This is definitely a difficult question to answer, but I'll try my hardest to really show what it's like here. So first of all, what are some typical assignments that I might encounter in my classes? I want to first start off with describing Spanish. I don't know if all language courses are like this, but when I do Spanish, there's a lot of smaller assignments. And so, for example, last week we had a reading circle lecture, which meant we had to prepare an assignment for that. We also had to practice for it. But then we also have auditory tests at home. We have auditory tests in class. There's a vocabulary quiz. We also have talk abroad assignments, which are 30 minutes with a native speaker, and then we have to write up our reflection on that. Last week we had an oral exam. Usually each night there's also connect assignments, which are these little kind of worksheets, but it's virtual on the computer. We have to read out of the textbook. Sometimes there's videos in the textbook we have to watch. The point is, sorry, I don't want to just be listing out here everything I do in Spanish. The point is there's a lot of smaller assignments. This is in contrast to something like my Star Wars and religion class, which we have a larger reading each week, and we have a discussion group and a few essays, but that class is definitely easier, I think, in contrast to Spanish. For the social science core, I'm taking power, identity, resistance. Usually we do annotations of texts we're reading. There's heavy readings in that too. It's often 80 pages per night, sometimes more, sometimes less, depends. And we have to do write-ups each week on the readings, presentations every 3 classes. So really, again, it just really varies from class to class. So what are some typical exams that I might have at UChicago? In Spanish, we have multiple exams, reading and writing and oral. I know that in cardiopulmonary responses to stress, we're going to have a final over all the material we covered, and that's going to be a test form. But then the humanities classes tend to just be essays, at least that's what I've experienced so far. I've not had any tests in any of my humanities classes. This includes the social sciences and Hume core, my Star Wars class. It's usually just the final grade is going to be made up of participation, and then also the essays are weighted differently throughout the quarter. Speaking of participation, participation is huge. I have not encountered a class where it's not. Usually we're expected to speak up, we're expected to ask questions and engage in the conversation. You can't just attend and shut your camera off or shut your microphone off. And a lot of them take attendance as well. So that's definitely a huge part of this. What am I actually learning? Is the content itself difficult? And again, I have nothing to compare it to, but I would say yes. I mean, I did the IB program in high school. So if I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it to that. And in high school, there was a lot less material, I think. That's what's different about UChicago is the caliber increases because we cover a lot more content. And in that content, it's often very difficult. So in 1 year for Power, Identity, Resistance, we read Hobbes, Rousseau, Burke, Durkheim, Marx, Smith, Nietzsche, Arendt, Freud, and then I'm probably missing some others too. So it's not that it's impossible to get through, it's just that there's often very little time to go through those and to discuss it with the class. As for the content in STEM classes, I'm only doing my first science this quarter, and I took a math in autumn quarter, but that's really it. Math was really hard for me in terms of content. We did a lot of things with the Euclidean algorithm and Bézé's lemma. And by the way, I'm not just remembering these terms on my own. Yes, I'm looking at my notes from autumn quarter. It was very abstract math. And then cardiopulmonary responses to stress. It's getting very into the medical side of it, which means it's definitely more than just the anatomy of the heart. And the thing is I'm not a science major. I am a humanities person and I'm taking these courses, and this is because it's required in the UChicago core. And that's another reason why UChicago is so difficult, is because you're forced to take classes that you're not necessarily comfortable with. Because I applied to some schools like open curriculum, so you only have to take the courses that you want to take. Here at UChicago, you're taking a ton of courses that you may not feel comfortable with. And that's a huge part of why this school is so hard. Okay, so how much homework do I actually have per day? This includes studying, assignments, working on finals and midterms, that sort of thing. I would say probably around 5 hours a day, but give or take a few hours. Like, it honestly depends on the day, depends on how organized I am, how motivated I am that day. I've never actually timed myself, so I could be wrong. I probably should time myself just to find out. But there's never a day where it feels easy. Like, I am always doing homework. The grading at UChicago. This I have no evidence on, so I'm just speculating here. I have heard lots of rumors of grade deflation. I don't know if that's true. I don't know how many classes are curved. There's like no statistics on it. What I do know is that apparently it's very hard to get a good GPA. The professors here are tough. They're brilliant and they're tough. I wish I had more evidence to give here. Like, as I'm starting to talk about this, I realize how much I don't know, so I don't want to keep talking about something I don't understand, so I'm going to move on. Another huge part of UChicago is the RSOs and participation. I'm not involved in many RSOs, so I'm doing a Scrabble intramural and I'm on the board of Feminist Forum. And granted, because I'm on the board, it does take up a lot more time than if I was just a member. But I'm only doing those two things, and it does take up a significant amount of time, and I plan on joining more RSOs next year. It's just been difficult because of COVID. There hasn't really been a lot of opportunities for me to join RSOs. Like, I could, but they'd be virtual, and I'm kind of waiting until next year for other RSOs. The point is, there's a lot of serious RSOs here. A lot require applications, and they'll reject you, so it's not a given that you'll join them, but they're taken seriously. You have to dedicate yourself to them, and that's going to take up time as well as your homework and studying. So, is the University of Chicago where fun goes to die? I think that in general, the impression of fun dying here stems a lot from the fact that a lot of people are dedicated to academics here. Because of that, a social scene develops. It's just naturally quieter than the social scene of other schools, probably. It's just not known as a party school, and there are, of course, parties. There are people who like to socialize, but I think in general people really do concentrate on their GPA a lot. So not only does that limit the social scene, but it also just creates a competitive environment, which contributes more to working hard, which contributes more to where fun goes to die. Mental health is a pretty big issue at UChicago, probably because of that workload and just all these combined factors that I've been talking about. So if you are considering applying to UChicago, just be aware that it's going to depend on your perspective. If you want to have a fun, great time here, you're going to have that, whether you're doing academics or a social scene. I'm sorry this is such a vague answer, but it's going to depend so much on your work ethic, the classes you take, the professors you have, the majors you do. But I hope this just kind of helps by seeing what I do for work, how many hours I spend on work. But I have time, I have free time, I have lots of free time, I think. In the end, I guess it's kind of up to you if UChicago is where fun comes to die. I don't think it is, but for some people it is. Yeah, I guess that's kind of all I have to say on it. And I don't usually say this, but if you are enjoying my YouTube channel, I would be incredibly grateful if you subscribe to my channel. So thank you so much. I really appreciate every single person that does. It really means the world to me. So I don't think I ever officially said anything about reaching 1,000 subscribers, and it was a huge milestone for me, and I'm so excited to have reached it. But sorry, this is I don't know, I don't know how to phrase this exactly, but I appreciate everyone watching these videos. So thank you so much. And of course, as always, have a wonderful rest of your week.